Lenny Small, president of Dredge Corp, was still sleeping when the vidlink went active. He wasn't sure how much time had passed before he became aware of it. He thought it was the maid talking on her phone and yelling, "For God's sake, shut the hell up and get the hell out," putting the pillow over his head. "Wake up, Small," said a voice. It was a deep, gravel voice, a certain edge to it. Definitely not the maid. Serious. He peeked out from under the pillow. The voice was coming from the hollow screen. "Oh, it's you, Markoff," he said. "Damn right it's me," said the man on the screen. Craig Markoff had white hair slightly longer than a military man usually had, carefully combined back and gelled in place. He had an imposing square-cut jaw and steady ice blue eyes. He was wearing the dress uniform and insignia of government intelligence. As with all intelligent agents, his rank was not indicated even on his dress uniform. Small stretched, he moved to the edge of the bed and go out naked quickly, slipping into his robe. Real silk, not synthetic, because of environmental legislation he had to smuggle it into the North American sector. This had cost him a small fortune, but damned if he could tell the difference. He looked out the penthouse window inside. "Can't it wait until I've had my coffee?" he asked. "We have a situation. Tanner's dead." Instantly Small was focused, his gaze alert, mind sparking. "How'd he die?" "Killed himself." "Why?" "I don't know," said Markoff. "Guilt, perhaps." "Not possible," said Small. "I've known the bastard for 20 years. He's handled much worse than this Chicxulub thing without batting an eye." "You sure he wasn't killed?" "I'm certain," said Markoff. "I had a camera installed in his room. He's just chatting away to himself, and then he cuts his own throat. You can watch the vid of his death if you'd like." Small winced. "No thanks," he said. Markoff shrugged. "Suit yourself. I have a script for you," said Markoff. "Things that you can and can't say about his death. I want you to memorize it, word for word. I've never been much good at memorization. It'll sound canned." "This gist is fine," said Markoff. "Put it in your own words." "Working with you is like making a deal with the devil," said Small. "No questions as to who's in charge." He waited, but Markoff didn't say anything. "All right," Small said. "Send it over." Markoff spun the script through the hollow screen. Small left it unopened. He'd deal with it later after his coffee. "Anything else?" asked Small. "Or can I have my coffee now?" "One other thing," said Markoff. "The signal pulse has stopped." "It stopped? What does that mean? What do we do?" "The gravity anomaly is still there. The object is still in place. It's just no longer signaling." "Do you think that it's broken? Maybe those two bastards damaged it when they went down there." "I don't think so," said Markoff. "If that were the case, it would have stopped a few days ago instead of now." "No, I don't think that's it. Something else has happened, or it's made a decision to stop on its own." "You talk about it as if it were sentient," said Small. "It may be, said Markov. I'm sure it'll surprise us in more ways than one. You really think you can control it? I've never met anything I can't control, said Markov, present company included. I don't see any reason to think this will be an exception, so signal pulse or no, proceed as planned. Proceed as planned, said Markov. I'm having the situation towed into position now. It's a slow process, but it'll get there. We can start on salvage operations for the submarine and take steps to prepare the object for extraction in the meantime. We still split the profits down the middle. Right down the middle, said Markov, but profits are hardly the point. 6 months from now, we may well be the two most powerful men in the world. He gave Small a cold smile. Think about that while you're drinking your coffee. Chapter 31. They ordered their beers at the counter and took them to a table in the back. All four of them, Showort, Ramser, Scud, and Altman. It was isolated enough that there was little danger of being overheard, and from where they were sitting, Showort and Ramser could keep an eye on the front door, Scud and Altman on the back doors. So it's gone, said Altman. The signal pulse has stopped. Scud made a face. I would not say it has stopped, he said. I would only say that perhaps it has stopped. Perhaps it has only become so attuned as to the undetectable to our instruments. That's as good as stopped, said Ramraz. It has the same effect, but it is not the same thing, said Scud. All right, Scud, said Altman. Point taken. The first question is, what does it mean that we can no longer detect the signal? Nobody said anything. The anomaly is still there, said Altman. At least at last I checked. Yes, said Showort. It's still there. Sure, there's currently no signal, but it could simply be part of a larger pattern yet to be determined, said Scud. Well, said Scud, said Altman. So the signal has stopped. We don't know if this is permanent or temporary. We also don't know why. We may never know why, said Ramraz. Showort and Scud began to argue with him in muted whispers. Altman waved his hands to silence them. The real question is, do we move forward now that the signal has stopped? The other three stared at him. What do you mean by move forward, Showort asked. Until now, we've been investigating quietly, covering our tracks. Now Dredge Corp has made a public argument to dig down to the center of the crater, ostensibly to rescue their submarine. No doubt while they're there, they'll investigate whatever it is that lies at the heart of the crater. Scud made a non-committal grunt. Dredge Corp has come out into the open, or rather they've pretended to come out into the open. Is it time for us to do the same? What, said Ramraz. What do you mean? What you want us to knock on Dredge Corp's door and say, excuse me, we've been observing you and we don't think you're being entirely honest. Sounds to me like a good way to kill. I don't mean that, said Altman. I mean we go public, the four of us together write up a rigorous and well-reasoned proposal to the North American Sector Science Foundation to investigate the crater. We cite the gravity anomaly and the pulse signals, perhaps even say something about the broadcast from the submarine. We all for a public government-sponsored excavation of the center of the Chicxulub crater. They sat together silent for a moment, nursing their beers, except for Scud, who had almost immediately finished his. "What if they say no?" asked Short. "Then we start approaching other granting organizations. We submit the proposal to as many places as possible at once, trying to get funding and trying to make sure that as many people as possible know about the pulse signal and the anomaly. Someone is sure to begin questioning Dredge Corp's motives. At the very least, they'll have to operate on a shorter leash. It could be like staring up a nest of hornets," said Ramirez. "Maybe," said Altman, "we won't know until we start stirring. Maybe nothing will happen. Maybe, God forbid, we will put ourselves in jeopardy. But maybe we'll find ourselves in a position to figure out what's at the bottom of that damned crater." He took a sip of his beer. Who is with me?" The other three looked at one another. Scud was the first to raise his hand. "I am with you," he said. Ramirez followed. Showalter hesitated for a long time and then finally nodded his head. "Very good, gentlemen," said Altman. "Let's get to work."